All right, 6th grade, this is 8.7, the last one for chapter 8. We're finding the percent of a number, page 434 in your book. So page 434. Okay, so vocabulary, we have interest, and we'll be doing interest here just a little bit later on. Interest is the amount, like when you put money in a bank, it's the amount that they pay you, amount paid to use your money. Okay, principal in same deal here with the money. Principal is the amount of money you start with. Okay, and annual interest rate is the rate, usually it's a percent, in which you earn money. And simple interest is found with the following formula, and we have it, it'll actually be in a key concept box. Simple interest is principal times rate times time, which are all of those words up above. And we'll be doing examples with those throughout this lesson. So here is the example 1. There's something I want to point out. It's the statements, the 2 bulleted items above example 1 in your book. Would you read along with me as I read those? It says this activity above, the activity above suggests 2 ways to find the percent of a number. Remember, there's more than, what's crazy about math is there's more than one way to do things. If you only limit yourself to one way, then it might be hard. Some ways lend themselves better than others for different, depending on what the numbers are. So what I'm trying to get at is read the bulleted items. It says change the percent to a fraction and multiply the number, or change the percent to a decimal and multiply the number. You will notice that today it says you are finding the percent of a number. Well, we know that in learning with fractions, what we've learned in chapter 7, that of most of the time in math means to multiply. Not always, but about 99.9% of the time it does. So in this statement, when it says find 75% of 60, right here, 75% is a very common fraction, and it's a pretty easy fraction to remember. That's 3/4. Of means to multiply, and then you can take it times 60. Now remember from the last chapter, you can go, I don't know if anybody recognized it, but 4 and 60 cancel. 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 60 15 times. 15 times 3 is 45. So 75% of 60 is 45. That'd be like saying if you got a 75% and there were 60 problems on the test, how many did you get right? You got 45 out of 60 to get that 75. Now you didn't have to use a fraction. You could change 75% to a decimal, which would be 0.75, and take it times 60, and then check this out. That'd be 45. You would add these. You would put the 2 decimal places that are in the 0.75 in and get 45 just like I did. But I think it might be easier to recognize those fractions and deal with those smaller numbers. Okay. So let's look at one that it says to use the decimal. 10% of 74. Well, 10% isn't a very common fraction. It's not very easy to deal with, so let's use the decimal. 10%, the decimal, you move it back 2 places, is 0.1 times 74. Well, remember when you multiply with decimals, just pretend like it's not there. So what's 74 times 1 is 74, and 1 decimal place would be 7.4, and then you're done. Okay, and I don't even want to show you that with the, I mean, you could do that with the fraction, but it'd be too big. It'd be too long. So find 50% of 48. Well, right away, 50% to me is a half. So half times 48. Well, what do you do to a number when you take half of it? You divide it by 2. 2 goes into 48 24 times, just like we did in the last lesson, and 24 times 1 is 24. Done. 10% again, that's the same one we just had, so we're going to go 0.1 times 36, which is just 36 times 1, and put the decimal point in, 3.6. So that's of. Remember, of means to multiply. Now let's talk about discounts. It says the regular price for a pair of sneakers is $40. The sale price is 25% off the regular price. What is the sale price? So you get 25% off of those shoes. So right away, do you see my words here? Of, you save 25% of 40. Well, right away I see that's a common fraction. That's 1/4. Of means to multiply. 40, I know 4 goes into 40 10 times, and 10 times 1 is 10. Now 10 doesn't mean you're only paying $10 for those shoes. 10 means you get to take $10 off of those shoes. So then look, you got to be careful on the question. What is the sale price then? So the sale price of those shoes would be $30. And they might do it a little differently, but well, they agree with us there. And then you subtract the discount from the regular price. Sales tax is also a percent. So it says you're buying dog food that cost $8.50. There's 6% sales tax. What is the total amount for your purchase? Okay, so 6%. Again, what we have to do, it's 6% of your purchase. There's that of. So it's going to be $8.50 times, move this back 2 places, 0.06. Carry the 3, 48, 50, 51, placeholder. Those will all just be zeros. And you put in 4 decimal places, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 51 cents tax, but that wants to know the total amount. So you'll have to take $8.50 plus 51 cents, 0.51 would be $9.01 for your dog food. And they're multiplying. Don't forget about the decimal. There's the 9.01. Okay, so a book's regular price is $19.95. Find the sale price with a 20% discount. 20% is another one of those common ones. If you go back, that's 1/5, right? A problem though is it doesn't make it very compatible with that, so we might have to change this. Let's go ahead and just leave it as a decimal. So I'm going to go back 2 places, so that's the same as 0.2 times 1995. So 1995 times 0.2 and 1, 2, 3 places. I get $3.99 off 1995. That's going to be a 6, 9, $15.96, I say. There we go. I see I tried the fraction and it didn't come out very good, so I went ahead and oops, I didn't mean to do that. Tax, 8% tax. So remember before we had 6, so we want to go 0.08 times 950. 0, 0, carry the 4, 72, 76, put in 4 places. 76 cents tax onto 950. $10.26. So basically it's a matter of just changing that to decimal or a fraction and multiplying. The sale price for a shoe sign is $4.75. Use mental math to estimate the total cost of if you tip. Okay, the thing about mental math is our number system is based in tens. So we can use mental math to help us solve these problems rather easily, actually. And I'm thinking that, I wonder if we did do example. Did I do example 4? Or am I ahead of myself? Was example 4 in there? There wasn't an example 4, was there? Okay, well let's just talk about the tip then. I'll show you what example 4 would have taught us. Since our number system is based in tens, all you have to do to find 10% of a number is to take the decimal point and move it back 1 place. So in this case it says to estimate, so we can round, it would be 0.475. And that's around 48 cents. That's 10%. Now, if I want 15%, what can you tell me about 10% and 5%? Well, 5% is half of 10%. So to find 5%, what's half of 48 cents would be 24 cents. So to get 15%, you would just add them together. So 12, carry the 1, 4, 5, that'd be about 72 cents would be your, the total cost if you tip. So you have to add the 72 onto the, so I told you guys to be careful with that, and I wasn't very careful with that. So about 547, which is really close to 550. Remember, we're estimating right there. Okay, so let me show you how I do it. Let's say I go to a restaurant and my bill comes back and it's $36. Let's just say it's $36. And I want to leave a 15% tip. So really quick in my head, I just move the decimal back one place and I get 360. That's 10%. Then I chop that in half, and half of 3 is $1.50, half of 60 is 30, that's $1.80. That would be 5%. Then I add them together. So that'd be 0, 4, carry the 1, and I'd probably leave 550 if I was going to leave 5%. If you want to leave 20%, you just double this, and that would be 20%. So it's really easy to find percents by just moving the decimal back one place, for the 10% anyway. The bill for breakfast is $28.60. You want to leave a 15% tip. Which equation can be used to find it? So you want to leave 15% of the total bill. What would be good to find the total? So of means to multiply. This one would only tell us what the tip is. This one, that would tell us the tip added to the bill. Aren't these two this? Oh, this one, yeah, it's got to be this one because the 15 needs to be 0.15 because it's a decimal, so it is C. And then we need to tell them you need to use mental math like your math teacher taught you. All right, so here's our interest stuff. We're ready to get ready. I think this is the last example. Getting into the last examples. Simple interest. Here's our formula. Interest paid only on the principal is simple interest. Now remember, the principal is how much money. So let's say you have $100 and you're going to go down and open a savings account. You go, here's my $100 to open it. That would be your principal amount, would be $100. Okay? Simple interest is your principal times the annual interest rate times the time in years. So the algebra is interest, I equals principal times rate times time. So write out that formula and stuff in the key concept box. So interest equals principal times rate times time. So the principal is how much you start with. So you deposit $75 in your account. That would go for the P. The annual interest rate is 4%. So, but we're multiplying. We got to put it in as a decimal. It's going to be 0.04 times time for 2 years. And we can multiply in any order. 75 times 2 is 150 times 0.04 is, and you move it over 2 places, you would get $6 interest in 2 years. I think I multiplied right. Yep. And that's just, if you weren't going to spend it anyway, it's just money, extra money. So, guided practice number 6, it says tips. Breakfast you and your friend cost $12.09 and you leave a 20% tip. Which equation would you use to find the total amount paid in dollars? 0.2 times 12.09 or 0.2 times 12.09 plus 12. You'd have to add it onto your regular bill, so it would be this one right here. Okay, and then they want us to find it. So we do 12 point, well, it means we need to solve this one, times 0.2. 18 carry the 1, 4, 2. We don't have add anything to that. We're going to put 3 decimal places. So it'll be about $2.42 plus your $12.09. About $14.51. You deposit $100, so principal times rate times time. So you put in $100 at 3%, 0.3. Remember, I have to put in as a debt for 3 years. So 3 times 100 is 300 times 0.03. So that'd be 0.009. 2 decimal places, you'd get $9 interest. That's not the best interest, is it? We better invest our money someplace else. All right, I think that's it for this chapter. We'll see you next time. Bye.